What's up YouTube, Capital G here, got some more amazing Salamangreat action. Yes, I am playing in every single one of these duels. I am the Salamangreat player. Some of you guys might not have been impressed by my last batch, but I am playing against all meta decks in these duels, so I don't want you guys to say, all cap G, your opponent just went Sangam Pass. I'm not going first in all of these duels. Sometimes my opponent has hand traps, sometimes they're going first, sometimes I'm getting lucky, but look, man, Salamangreats are coming, guys. I think that they're going to be very similar to Alter, guys. When it comes to tier, I think there'll be a deck that can like probably make top 4 of a YCS, maybe even get lucky and win. They're not going to be a deck that's good enough to be the best deck of the format. They have a couple of pitfalls, like they don't have a definitive amazing boss monster, but the deck is definitely one that is going to be competitive. So many people were like, you're playing a shitty anime deck. I'm like, bro, do you not understand that the Vrains archetypes, Konami specifically designed them to be competitive? Outergeist and Trickstar and Goki, these are all decks from the fucking anime. So these Salamangreat will be another deck, in my opinion, that ends up being competitive. By the way, just notice, not only did he go first in this duel, but he ashed me, and he got Multi-Faker plus Sequidius turn 1, and he's still going to take that L. When he hit the Impermanence, that was actually a huge break for me, because I couldn't actually use Impermanence. I'm able to blow up his Sequidius. I'm able to use my Falco to set the card again. This means that I can now disrupt one of his trap cards, so it was getting a little lucky there. He goes for Manifestation. I decided to pop the Protocol, because I know I can negate the Multi-Faker. I got a +1, by the way, too. I can negate the Multi-Faker with my Ash Blossom, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now at this point, I just need to put beaters on the board to try to get the to get him to use the Konkori, or excuse me, not Konkori, the Sequidius. At this point, I feel like I've taken control of the duel. Yeah, him having 2 hand traps that were dead, were, you know, it obviously helps me right there. I reset my Fire Lake type card. I think I have Impermanent set as well. And since he doesn't have any normal summons in phase, I basically just Fire Lake him. Boom. GG no re at that point. The good thing about this deck is usually you can kind of just set up with a couple of disruptions, and if your opponent doesn't break your entire board, it's so easy to recover with Salamangreats. That's basically how Konami built the deck. You know, they call it, I guess, reincarnation linking or reincarnation link. I haven't gotten to the that part of Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. I'm like right at the tail end of season 1. Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains is a fucking masterpiece, by the way. Right here, I go for my Invoker. I sent my Infernity Barrier to the grave. I'm going to add it to my hand. And, you know, this board right here, this is generally what your turn 1 boards look like with Salamangreats. They're not so ridiculous that your opponent can't play. It's kind of like Sky Strikers, but you generally have like 1 or 2 disruptions for them. And if they don't get through all of this, then you just fucking torch them, because you get all of your disruptions back the next turn. And you can get Ash Blossom back to your hand, which is one of the things I love about this deck, because Ash Blossom just happens to be, you know, fire attribute. He uses, Super Agent. I knew that I had to negate it, because if not, he was just going to pop one of my cards anyways. Luckily, he didn't have Call by the Grave. I Ash Blossom his Double Helix, because if he gets Double Helix off, he's going to win. You can't let Double Helix go off. He attacks my dude. I use Valix to protect it, and at this point, it's basically just off to the races. Once I'm able to recover my Infernity Barrier again, I add Ash Blossom back to my hand. I get my Gazelle off, which adds me, I guess, Rage. I don't even know if I want to add Rage, but I'm going for Heat Leo. We're going to get rid of his back row. I don't know what it is. And at this point, I'm just looking for raw damage. So sometimes, and the thing is, you guys might be like, oh, why don't you go for Borreload or something like that? Because I use my Invoker, I'm locked into the fire attribute for the rest of the turn. So when you do use your Invoker, you got to make sure you don't screw it up, because you are, like, sometimes you'll go into Link monsters that you can go into them, but you can't use their effects. Like, you're locked in the fire attribute for the whole turn. So you got to make sure you know what you're doing. And in those cases, you kind of have to use your Salamangreats as like beaters at that point. So he's gonna Ghost Ogre me. Ghost Ogre is absolutely terrible against this deck, because not only am I still getting a +1, but I was able to get my Kaze Takage, my Salamangreat Foul, off. At this point, I'm summoning my Armageddon Knight. I'm probably going to drop I dropped the Infernity Barrier in the graveyard. I sent the Spiny to the grave so that I could use it for NXC. I'm going to reset something. Looks like my Infernity Barrier. And what am I adding to my hand? I added Foxy back to my hand. Sunlight Wolf adds my Rage. And again, this is basically the double disruption board that you're looking for. It's even better because my opponent used one of his cards as a hand trap. So instead of having to deal with 6 cards, I only have to deal with 5 cards, which, yeah, you kind of want to get hand trapped with Salamangreats. because it just simplifies the game quicker. Like Salamangreats in a simplified game state are an amazing deck because you see I have, I get basically an Icarus attack or a Fire Lake. At this point, he has an open field. I still have my Infernity Barrier set, so I know I'm just going to OTK him. I think this was a straight up flex. Maybe you guys can say, Cap G, poor sportsmanship confirmed. Why are you doing all of this to this guy? Just kill him. Update Jammer, not a hard once per turn on the double attack effect. Thank you very much, Konami. By the way, if you're wondering, my Transcode Talker and my Firewall Dragon both can attack twice. Like, just keep that in mind. They both can. So this is 6,000 damage and this is 5,600 damage. By the way, I'm not done. We're just going to keep on piling on the damage because why not? Summon Jack Jaguar. Okay, he scooped. He knew what was coming. Just these two alone, like these two monsters, this is 8,300 damage between my Firewall Dragon and my Heat Leo. But I still had the Infernity Barrier set the entire time. So, I'm just playing around at that point. If I needed, like if he somehow had 15,000, I think I calculated that at like 17,000 damage or something like that. This is against Dark Warrior. I played a best out of 3 against this guy. He won game 1. I won game 2. This is the rubber match. Now, thank goodness that I had Ash Blossom and not Valor or Impermanence, because if I had Valor or Impermanence, Magical Midfield Breaker would make it so that I couldn't use those cards, and he 100% would get ISO'd off and he'd win the duel. But luckily, I opened with Ash Blossom, which again, I probably am going to add to my hand. But even though technically I could have tried to go for an OTK here, because I did calculate this out to where I could have had Transcode Talker, Update Jammer, plus Foul, which is enough damage to kill him, because Transcode could have attacked twice. If he has Ghost Ogre, then I end up I end up not being able to do that. I felt like playing safe was the better call here, because I know that I can make Disruption to where he can't stop me. I use my my Monster Reborn, I add it back to my hand, probably go for Abyss Dweller and add my Ash Blossom back, and that's, again, you're just looking for double disruptions like every turn. I already know that Abyss Dweller is good enough probably to stop him, but I'm adding Ash Blossom just in case. So he summons Armageddon Knight. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to ash it, because if you send, what are you going to do about that? Now, he does get, 2 warrior monsters on field. Again, I don't think it mattered. Even if he had ISO'd, I would have just stopped the summon effect. Like, you can get your Surge, because I don't care about that. I'm going to kill you during your next turn. But he goes for Nightmare Cerberus. I think he didn't realize that he can't target because of his own magical midfield breaker. But there's no Link 2 that can out my board, so I don't really care. Even if he goes for ISO'd, as I said, I just ash it, then I just kill him during the next turn. This was against Thunder Dragons. This was another 2 out of 3 duel. I'm opening first. He has Impermanence, so he can technically stop this. And unfortunately, I got my Rhoda, then I got my Armageddon Knight. Anytime, so okay, there's 3 cards in the deck that let you explode turn 1 with Salamangreats. If you open with Foxy, this guy, the Dark Magical Circle, if you open with Gazelle, which is your Armageddon Knight, or if you open with Circle, which is your Rhoda. Those are the 3 cards, because really you're just trying to get to this. You're trying to get the Armageddon Knight. These 2 are, they get you to it. Once you get those cards, like, you basically can explode. If not, you kind of have to play a little conservatively. So you're going to see right here, probably going to dump my Infernity Barrier. And yep, there's the Infernity Barrier. I'm probably gonna add my Rhoda back to my hand, so I'm gonna set my Infernity Barrier. I added my Rhoda, I set that as well. Again, I have no idea what I'm playing against. I think he should have probably used Impermanence. I used my Ash Blossom because I'm like, oh, it's Thunder Dragons, negate is Thunder Dragon. Here's a play that maybe you can say it's a little questionable, but since I know I'm playing against Thunder Dragons, I'm like, he's going to summon Colossus. I need to use this Rhoda while I still can. So I'm going to use my Rhoda, and I'm going to get Mirror from my deck. Mirror can special summon itself when it's added to the hand. Then I can special summon it to Sunlight Wolf's Link Point, and I can add my Ash Blossom back. Again, I'm doing that because once he drops Colossus, I can't use my Rhoda anymore anyway. So I'm like, fuck it. I need to just, I better do it now while I can and get Ash Blossom back at the same time. I protect my Link monster. I don't care about my my Gazelle, my Armageddon Knight. It's fine. I'm going to Ash him again since my Ash was free anyways. And honestly, I might be able to get Ash back this turn again anyways. So I use the effect. He Impermanences me. This is where I trolled so hard. So I go for Heat Leo, get rid of the Anti-Spell Fragrance, Heat Leo Part 2, make his attack 0. This was so dumb. I activated my Fusion of Fire in the same column as the Impermanence, bro. I'm about to one-shot him here with Violet Chimera. I totally forgot about the fucking Impermanence. So at this point, I use my Rhoda again. I'm like, oh my god, I'm trolling. I take a neck 1 on my Rhoda. I go for Sunlight Wolf, and you guys are probably like, Cap, you done fucked up. Also, hold on. Did I forget? Is there a let me see. Yeah, I should have also went for Phalanx. I should have put Phalanx in the I should have linked summoned for Phalanx too, so I got the protection effect. So right now I'm just hard trolling. That's 3 misplays in a row. When I should have ended the duel. He has triple Colossus, although he did let me get my Gazelle back. And he can't actually kill me, and he's the one who's going to get trolled because this is going to be the comeback, baby. I should play that Yusei Fudo theme. Thank goodness I top decked my, my Monster Reborn. Which definitely helped. I summoned Gazelle. We're going to drop Falco in the graveyard. We're going to get Fusion of Fire right back to the field. Underclock Taker. Now we're going to bring back Heat Leo, use Underclock Taker, make one of his dudes have reduced attack, and at the same time, not only did I get rid of his Link Karibo so I can block the attack, but also, you know, I'm able to make my my Violet Chimera like crazy attack. So we're going to one-shot him right there. He has 73, we do 7,900, and again, even with me trolling and misplaying and 3 Colossus on field, we're able to still one-shot my opponent. This is the second batch. What's our time looking like right now? That's perfect. All right, second batch. Whoopsie doodle. That's supposed to be here. You can see that he's going first, so don't say, oh, Cap, you go first every duel. Nope. In like half of these duels, I go second. And he just summoned Titan. I'm not really afraid of Titan. Well, no, I'm more afraid of Titan because, you know, it can pop multiple cards on my field. However, I do have the impermanence, so I'm like, I'm probably just going to one-shot you. If you're facing against a deck that doesn't put any disruption, like no back row, it's much easier to just try to one-shot your opponent, to be honest, than it is to try to outgrind him at that point. So I'm going to drop my Fusion of Fire into the graveyard. I'm going to go Sunlight Wolf. He does, what's it called? Now, what he did was he actually made it so he used Ghost Bell, so I couldn't add it back to my hand. But as we saw in the last duel, I have other ways of doing that. So get my double Monster Reborn, which is no problem. Go for my XM Saber Invoker. I use my Falco, reset it to the field. I'm going to go to another copy of Heat Leo, make his dude 500 attack, and we're going to one-shot him through his boss monster. Now, this is one thing I got to stop doing, by the way. I got to stop adding Mole back to my hand, because if I had Mole instead of Phalanx, I would have been able to make his dude 0 attack instead of 500. I did 8,900 damage there, so it really wasn't, like, it didn't really matter. But, you know, there could be duels where it actually does end up mattering. And you can see, even though I was able to one-shot him, I still have like 3 cards in my hand. So it's not like I'm using every single thing. But generally, when you go for these plays, the only thing that can kind of stop it is Effect Veiler. But luckily, nobody's smart enough to play Effect Veiler but me. Effect Veiler is still really good. I don't know why anybody or why people don't play it. So this is my absolute current version of Salamangreats. Although, because I dropped Cynet Fusion from the deck, which it's searchable, but I never felt myself really like, man, I'd go first and I'd fucking open with Cynet Fusion. It was always like a brick. I do think that I can probably just drop, like, I don't even think I can summon 2 copies of Violet Chimera unless I use the first Fusion of Fire and then I add the second one back and then I like Monster Reborn or something like that. At that point, I probably, like, every time I summon this card, I should one-shot my opponent. If not, I shouldn't summon it. So I will probably take this out. And that leaves me one kind of extra deck spot for another card that, you know, maybe you guys could suggest. I know that there is a Fire Fist Xyz monster that can add what's it called? It's like Fire Fist something. It's a rank 3 like Fire Fist monster, and I know it can add, what's it called? It can add this one right here. It can add Ash Blossom back to your from your graveyard to your hand. I was thinking about this card, but you know, overall, I'm not exactly sure what that last card will be. But this is what the deck looks like. My only like tech card right now is Backup Secretary. Backup Secretary, you can special summon it whenever you have a Cyberse monster on the field. The main reason I'm running this is because she's level 3, which means you can special summon her and you can go into your MX Saber Invoker, or you can actually normal summon her, which I would probably never do, but you could also use her for Phalanx. So she's actually quite useful. Not something I would run more than one copy of, but this is also kind of a tech spot. If I wanted to run like Ghost Bells, I could probably make this a Ghost Bell, or if I wanted to get a couple more hand traps in here, I could replace her with that. But right now, this is what the deck is looking like, and it's doing really, really well. So, you know, hopefully I made some of you guys into believers. I really do believe that this is going to be a solid tier 1.5 to tier 1 deck. Again, not best deck of the format, but probably like maybe like the 5th best deck of the format. So whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.